Here we go again. Number 21. And this is a guy we know. It is Veselin Topalov, born in 1975 in Bulgaria. A controversial figure to some extent, or maybe his manager is more of a controversial figure, but there's no denying his accomplishments. Wins the tournament in 2005 that makes him the FIDE world champion, then loses matches to Kramnik in 06 and to Vichy Anand in 2010. Peter, what are your thoughts on Topalov?
Well, basically, you said all my thoughts in that sense. I mean, there will be a debate if Topalov was, does he belong to the classical world champions or does he belong to the FIDE world champions, right? He wins this tournament in 2005, but somehow they haven't still fully sort of merged with FIDE yet. So practically speaking, he gets a match with Kramnik soon afterwards. But I think because of the strength of 2005, he's somewhat considered to belong in this heritage of world champions, but it's sort of still slightly debated, right? Then he has the match with Kramnik in 2006, and in 2010 with Vichy. It's a strange situation because, I mean, Topalov is basically gifted a qualification match against Kamsky. I mean, at that time, for instance, when Gelfand gets to play Vichy in 2012, he does it by, he actually wins some kind of candidates tournament. But Topalov is sort of slotted into just having to beat the winner of the World Cup. And, that was, you can argue, from his perspective, was a great managerial skills by Danilov. But for others, of course, it seems that, he's getting privileges that he shouldn't get because of having political connections. And Topalov is a, difficult guy in that sense. And that might be, while at times we will downplay his chess skills. But, he is impressive. And if you consider 2005 a legitimate world championship or not, it was very impressive what he did there. He starts with a 6.5 out of 7 and such. And he played so well, there was even conspiracy theories about it and things like that. And world championship matches, yes, he loses two. The first one is with Kramnik, again, huge scandal, etc. But the match ends 6-6 or 6-5, as some would say, but it gets to a playoff, which he loses. And the match to Vichy at home ground is 5.5, 5.5, and he loses the last game with white. So he's incredibly close to winning a world championship match, but doesn't manage. He has this world championship tournament. And, that is a lot. And also, he was number one at the FIDE list at some point. I think his rating was 28-16. And I think there has been times where he was considered to be probably the best player in the world, right? So I think, he is where he is. He is behind some of those we will mention later from his generation. But, he does accomplish a lot. He's an incredibly strong player, and he is the world champion, pending a bit how you define things, but still very much so. He wins this 2005 tournament in an incredibly impressive manner.
Yeah, he had a somewhat, I'm not sure if strange career, but maybe that's my recollection. He was a top player in the late 90s, like in 96, when he's still, 21 or something. He's already one of the highest rated players, and he's playing all these super tournaments. Then somehow, of course, he remains very strong, but he emerges back in 03, 04 and starts winning tournaments. Then in 05, of course, I think he won Linares. What was that, 05? And he wins this.
Yeah.
Wins this thing. So he has some longevity over that period. Then the recent years, it doesn't look like he's very active anymore, right? I'm sure he's still very strong, but he doesn't seem to be around that much. I recall I was there in 2015 when he was already not super active in the circuit, but there he just crushed this Norway chess tournament, scoring something insane, like 6.5 out of 9 against the best players in the world. So he still had it, but it looked like in the last 10 years he didn't feel. He's a family man, I think. He has 2 kids, and he didn't feel that much anymore like competing for the highest.
No, but I think his style is that, he's playing extremely aggressively and ambitiously. So he needs to put in a lot of energy to perform well, both in having tons of preparation and having a lot of energy and being fit to play chess. I mean, you can see when somehow maybe he has bad tournaments or he starts taking it less serious, he falls considerable in level, while some maybe more talented players would still keep a higher level just based on pure talent and understanding. Topalov is different in that sense. I think also, well, recently, I mean, I have seen him in Shamkir a couple of times where he played with a tournament where I was Carlsen second, and I mean, Topalov acts like, well, I'm basically retired, but well, if I get a nice invitation, I will play it. And he will show up, and he will play, and he will just play aggressive as always, and end in the lower part of the field probably, but have a good time. And as you can say that, well, in Norwich, yes, he actually won with this attitude. And I think also there was, suddenly he was back in the FIDE Grand Prix and had some good events and things like that. But it's clear, I mean, well, as you said, he had good times in the 90s, and then he has this streak where he was the best player in the world and competing for the world championship and such. But he's a different entity and some of the others, I would say.
Yeah, there is no denying, no matter how you define whatever talent or energy or calculation, how strong he was, though, from 2004 till 2010. He's at the very least right up there with Vichy and Kramnik, and yeah, he's a bit lower because he lost the matches to two of these guys. But he was impressive, like in this very aggressive style. So many great opening ideas also with his cooperation with Cheparinov in these days, in these Najdorfs. I think we have a Najdorf game here. He was just...
And he reminds me, not stylistically like Larsen, but more maybe mentally. He just tries to win whoever he plays, and he just pushes very hard. And, well, that gives you a lot of scars, but also some great successes and such. And I remember, of course, I was working for Anand when they had their rivalry and such. And, well, he was an uncomfortable opponent because he would just push and push, and he would not be afraid to bluff or to put... I mean, he would try and make it as awkward as possible for the opponent and just live with it. And I think also, I mean, well, almost everyone doesn't like losing, and I'm sure neither does Topalov. But he seems to, okay, I lost, so I'll try and win tomorrow. This was kind of Larsen's attitude as well. I mean, he's an interesting sports figure, and he's sort of nice to have in tournaments like that and such. But, yeah.
And lastly, on a personal note, of course, I'm aware of all the controversy in these matches and with his manager, Silvio Danilov, things being complicated. But I always enjoyed talking to Topalov. He's very friendly, very low-key, just a nice guy, really.
I can say the same. I mean, well, I've met him in airport. We spoke nicely and such. Then, well, often you meet him together with his manager, and then the attitude can be a bit different. And I think also you're responsible for your manager when you're one of the world's best players. But I agree. I mean, he's a nice guy in many ways. That will also, well, don't quote me on that. But yeah,
we can cut this up.
Yeah.
No, we can't. We never cut anything. This game we will look at is Peter Leko.
It's round one from the 2005 World Championship, and a very defining moment. You have to remember that Leko was still a serious World Championship candidate. I think he he drew the match with Kramnik. Was it 1 or 2 years before?
No, that's 2004. And in 2002, in the candidates tournament, he defeats Topalov thereby.
So this is a key encounter at that time. And I think, I think Vichy was considered the favorite for the tournament, but not to the extent that maybe he was a favorite towards the field. And Topalov was, of course, one of the outsiders. And, he starts off, playing the knight off as black, really aiming for a struggle and theoretical duel. And I think, he gets out-prepared by Leko, but just wins anyway.
Yeah. A bit like MVL nowadays, even if he doesn't win the opening battle, which he did a lot as well. He's so good calculating and sensing the resources in these positions. Yeah,
no disrespect to MVL, but Topalov was, maybe a sharper knight-off player in a way, right? Maybe it was possible at the time, and now it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, also opening-wise, he did contribute a lot in these
a lot, of course.
So this, is a topical line at the time. I guess nowadays they play lots of a3s in all these positions. But here, queen d2, pawn to b4, knight a4, knight b7, long castles, d5, I'm not a big expert here. This was all
No, I
sort
mean,
of theory
also,
at the time.
I should have checked my files, but I think actually with Vichy we prepared all this, and I think we thought what Topalov was doing was bad, which it probably is. But this is round one. He takes the risk. Later in the tournament, he starts playing the Berlin because, well, he starts with 6.5 out of 7. He only draws Vichy, and Vichy basically saves by incredible tenacious effort. So, I mean, Topalov was playing incredibly well in this tournament, and, well, maybe he's badly prepared here, but he will probably say, well, I'm taking a risk. I'm playing Leko. I'm putting him under pressure. That's normal and such. He was,
Also, he was a bit of a different theoretician maybe than, I don't know if it applies to Kasparov, but I felt like they were taking psychology a bit more into account. Like, even if the computer says it's bad, yeah. Like, okay, it's a sharp position. Leko might not be as comfortable as in a more technical position. They didn't mind. So, yeah, they're a very interesting approach. Queen c7. Yeah, I have no clue. This looks horribly dangerous for black, but he has long-term trumps.
This is not an opening series, else I would have checked my notes. But white was winning, not winning, but much better at some point. But, well, I was there as Vichy's second. Leko was thinking, and, he couldn't find the right solution. And then, well, instead of maybe winning, then, well, it goes completely the other way around. And it's Topalov who gets off to a fantastic start, while Leko can see, okay, I was that close to winning the World Championship last year. Now this year I start with losing the first game with white. And, well, he has never been a contender since, basically.
Yeah, somewhere around here. It still looks dangerous, but Leko doesn't manage to finish Topalov off. And here, after rook d8, all of a sudden, the long-term black...
I thought it's typical. Topalov, he's willing to take heavy risks. You also understand that history turns out well for him, but he could also have lost in 25 moves, right? And then, well, he would not be in this video series. So, but now he's on the 21st spot. And it's not a very interesting game from here, right? It's two bishops, better pawn structure and such. You have to do some realization.
Crushing.
Yeah, it looks positionally winning. So.
Yeah.
But this basically reflects his St. Louis 2005 performance. He was putting so much pressure on his opponent and doing well. And, well, of course, there is all this controversy. There is people who was convinced that he was cheating and such. And, I basically have no opinion on that. But that's not the subject here, at least. But, he was playing fantastically. And, of course, for us, it was kind of a shock. I was there as Vichy's second. And, well, we thought maybe this was one of Vichy's best chances to win the World Championship. And then Topalov just kept scoring all the time, right? It was...
I can't quite recall. Vichy did well, but he just couldn't keep the pace. I
forgot if Vichy made +3 or something like that. And I think... well, he was also ahead of his expected score, and he was the reigning favorite. So you can argue that, well, things didn't go too badly. But he was just not close because Topalov started so well. And I think Topalov basically could start cruising in the end. And I think the last chance was when Vichy was wide against Topalov in round 10. But even had he won that, there was a lot of stuff to do. But even that didn't really turn out quite well. No, Topalov was just on a level on his own there. And, well, Vichy was very good. It's just, sometimes one of your opponents has an amazing event. I'm pretty sure had Vichy played him in a match at that time, Vichy would be the favorite still. But,
yeah. Anyway, I think he belongs just on pure chess achievements and also contribution. He had this hyper-aggressive style, both in preparation and in taking chances.
But also he played two very interesting World Championship matches and, had interesting opening concepts and things like that and such. And, well, I think Team Vichy's perspective was that, well, we were very happy Vichy won, obviously, but also that, well, we felt Vichy is just a stronger player. He should actually have won by... in a more clean way. And I'm pretty sure Kramnik would say the same about his match. There is maybe this tendency to underestimate Topalov. And I don't know it's because of dislike for his manager or it's sort of we think his chess style is too aggressive or something like that. But maybe that's just how you think about your rivals, right? But
I don't know. Maybe he's also... I'm not sure if it's a more practical approach or they might have prioritized physical.
But exactly, that's why I like this game, because I would be focused on this is faulty preparation. Topalov will say, okay, this is excellent preparation. And I don't know. I mean, well, he won the game. He got a flying start. He won the tournament. Can you actually blame it on bad preparation or just a good strategy, right? It's hard to say also. Well, I think Topalov has always livened up any chess tournament, right? I mean, he's fun to watch. And as you say, he will play very sharp, interesting preparation, good or bad, right? So, I mean, no, it's... despite the dislike and such, it was good he was there, right? So...
Yeah, in this tournament, Kasparov's last tournament, he actually ties with Kasparov for victory in Linares.
He beats him in Kasparov
and beats him in the last game of Kasparov, no? Like so. After that, this mantle was a bit up for grabs, and like Kasparov's dominance was over, and Topalov, he was at some point he felt ahead of.
Till Magnus settled in, right? Or maybe 7 years. It depends on the perspective.
Yeah, there's 05 till 10.
Yeah. No, and also, I mean, Topalov, well, it is... I just said that he's been number one in the world. With the older persons, we are using Sona's rankings, while here we have to check all the Elo list, which is apparently too much work for for us. But, I mean, Topalov was, as you say, from right off Kasparov quit, we could argue Topalov is the best player in the world, and he stays there in the debate for quite some years, right? And it's not obvious.
I think he's also number one in 2006, and then again in 08 till 10 until the Magnus reign begins. So yeah, it's not like rating-wise.
No.
Kramnik or Vichy were ahead of him in that period.
No, I think Vichy had his moments as well, but sort of it was very much a competition in that sense. And I think also both matches with Vichy and Kramnik, maybe Vichy and Kramnik was seen as slight favorites, right? But it was very unclear.
Yeah, also Kramnik in 2006, we weren't sure in what shape he would be in and so on.
And also, I mean, maybe you can argue Topalov is a bit of like an Alyehin character. It's not comparable at all. Alyehin, of course, was much more serious, but that Topalov was actually the public's darling until Elista happened, right? I mean, well, he was simply loved for his attacking style and such. And, the chess thing still stays there. Then Elista happens, and there is all this controversy. But I think in Elista, by far the public hoped that Topalov would win before the match. That changed during, but that was not the case before and such, right? So, I mean, he was an amazing player in many ways. Still is probably.
But I feel, like spot 21, he does lose these matches to Vichy and Kramnik, or he'd be higher on this list.
Yeah. Also, well, if he didn't win in 2005, I would argue, well, he should be lower in a way, right? I mean, it's. But no, I think it's rightful spot. That's why we put him there. So.
All right, that's Veselin Topalov. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.